6 kinds of mental experiences. According to Buddhism, there exist only 2 classifications of mind, nirvana mind and distressed mind. Based on my observations and spiritual psychology study, I have subdivided these 2 into 6 subclasses. Floating mind, the mind that floats like a balloon. This mind is a peaceful mind. Because balloons can float in bad weather, the floating mind is tranquil despite external circumstance. The floating mind can peacefully float through any external circumstance or internal thoughts. It is not attached to external objects such as family, friends, house, beauty and status. This mind is nirvana, heavenly, blissful, tranquil and serene. The liberation is inside our mind. It does not need to endlessly search for a resting place outside of us to go to. When we have this light, floating mind, a simple flower can make us happy. On the other hand, when we have a distressed mind, a giant flower garden isn't enough to make us happy. This floating mind is the most desirable mental experience, but it requires extensive spiritual cultivation to experience it consistently. The way of liberation is the training of the false self, like the cowboy went to the wilderness to find a wild horse and train it. The training of the wild horse divides into 3 steps: tying the horse, releasing the horse and riding the horse. The wild horse is a symbol of false self and trained horse a symbol of true self. Usually our intelligent mind wants to go this way, but our emotions often pull us another way. Our intelligence is the trained horse and our emotions are the wild horse. Our false self usually leads us off the path where we actually want to go. The path represents our reality at the present time. Without the horse, the cowboy goes nowhere. The wild horse jumps around and wastes energy yet gets nowhere. It is only with the once wild trained horse the cowboy can go anywhere. In order to accomplish this mind, it is usually necessary for the novice to often withdraw into quiet solitude in order to calm the mind. For spiritual seekers, creating the place of solitude often means making the choice to live alone, such as in a monastery, rural communities, or out in nature. The next step is to be able to return to a busier environment without getting involved in it. After one learns to create floating mind anywhere, that the adept is free to do anything, to create what he or she want to be. Mental cleansing is a helpful practice in order to attain floating mind. The practice of mental cleansing involves identifying and changing and/or letting go of core beliefs. Another analogy to demonstrate floating mind is the concept of using the mind like a mirror and not using it as a painted canvas. This means using the mind to observe and being able to identify automatic thoughts and eventually minimize the unconsciously reactive nature of thoughts. This practice helps to cultivate floating mind. Happy mind, this is the subject of emotional well-being. This is being able to experience joy even with little stimulation. This is to enjoy the simple pleasures of life, such as a beautiful sunset, a flower, snack, socialization, or nice weather. Happy mind is very fun, pleasant mental experience and very easy to accomplish by just learning how to switch your mind like a TV channel. There are violent, sad and happy channels, yet one can choose to switch to a happy channel and ignore or overlook the negative one. This happy mind is just as Buddhist philosophy teaches: the past is over, the future hasn't come yet, the reality is now. To live fully in the present and enjoy whatever is around or in front of us now is the way to achieve happy mind. The truth is to be found in the experience of our journey, not found just in reaching a destination. Once we reach the destination, we are more likely to get bored of it. It is wise to enjoy our journey rather than focusing or obsessing on the end destination. Enjoying the journey is to enjoying the process of working on our goal, yet not expecting a particular result. In this way, one can be less attached and therefore less frustrated if our plan doesn't work out the way in which we planned or expected. This philosophy doesn't mean no planning for the future. To only dwell on the future is like putting a rock on your head, it becomes too heavy to move our head around. It also means that we trap ourselves by frustration, desperation, and uncertainty. This is to plan for the future but live fully in the present. We often feel we can't wait until the day that we have a castle to live to be happy ever after. The truth is that our dream of a castle or beautiful romance might not ever come, and even if they come, there will be many problems with unforeseen obstacles and obligations. In conclusion, to plan for the future but live fully in the present is the key. Up and down our roller coaster mind, to speak of this mind is to speak of the subject of emotional well-being. Life is variable. One minute we can experience excitement and the next minute can bring the experience of boredom, love, hate, happiness, sadness, excitement, boredom, anger, jealousy, in a ceaseless erratic pattern. Zen Buddhism calls this mental state monkey mind or wild ox. It seems like the majority of people on earth live in this mental state, so this is the normal mind. The way to get out of this mental experience is to stop the first spin that comes out of negative emotion, because once it is in high motion, it is much harder to stop than the beginning of the spin. Stopping the first negative spin out of emotion is the key to escape roller coaster mind. Stressful mind or spinning head mind. To speak of stressful mind is to speak about the subject of stress. It is a very stressful mental experience and subject to fast-moving and overloaded thoughts. This mind is embodied in the type of people who are forever too busy, too many things to get done, and have too many obligations, plans. This is a superactive mind. The fact is that many illnesses result from stress. In this mind we are like a horse pulling mental and physical wagons. In order to make it easier to walk your journey, ask yourself how many mental wagons you can pull at once. Everyone has a different level of stamina and different levels of strength. Under these conditions, it is best to keep it minimal to fewer wagons, all of the basic needs, responsibilities, and values. As you can see, it is not easy to line up but so many wagons to pull at once. So ask yourself, what kind of thing should I load onto my wagon? Another way to avoid stressful mind is to notate a list of responsibilities, tasks, and prioritize them based on our values. We can write the list of tasks on a piece of paper or on our smartphone application. Other way to manage stressful mind is to give more time to prepare our activities, such as getting ready for work, appointment, events, etc. These are a few ways to manage and avoid stressful mind. Congested mind. Congested mind is encapsulated in notion of carrying too much baggage. In this instance, a person holds too much memory of the past. The definition of congestion mind is the obsession with an attachment to thoughts and emotions. It is like a hallway filled with clutter, very difficult to walk through. In this case, congested mind person just reviews the same things all day and ignores the outside world. People with congested mind are subject to an out-of-touch interaction with the world, so much so that in severe cases a person can't function normally, can't adequately take care of themselves, and are unable to independently or clearly think or make sound decisions. There are a number of homeless people that are held in this experience of mind. In milder cases, it may just lead to difficulty making decisions or keeping up with responsibilities. There are two types of congestion mind, which are negatives and positive congestion mind. Positive congestion mind is mentally filled with positive thoughts and emotions, which means full of dream, special knowledge, desire, and fantasy. Negative congestion mind is mentally filled with negative thoughts and emotion, which means full of trauma, bad experiences. To speak of positive congested mind, the obsession with a religion, hobby or our special field of knowledge can be the source of the positive congested mind. The mental hallway is full of books, toys or flowers, yet they can block the path to clarity and serenity of mind. It is also the addiction mind. Some the addictions such as gamble, video game, drug, sex are not beneficial. The positive congestion of mind can feel good and it can be very beneficial in order to attain special knowledge or skill, since with the focusing on one thing all the time can leads to more specific knowledge or agency of skill. It is the full of fantasy mind. Negative congestion of mind is embodied in the mind of a person who perhaps has undergone negative, traumatic experiences such as imprisonment, injury, illness, etc., as well as trauma, particularly when experienced when the person was young. It is the experience of mental in hell. There are many degrees of congested mind. At the moderate level, one personally call it an icy mind, since the movement of the mind is quite slow. At a severe level, one call it a frozen mind, since the movement of the mind almost stops. No matter if the congestion is positive or negative, either type can present mentally distracting and or obsessive obstacles, and this can cause many problems. Negative congestion is the subject of emotional well-being and dark shadow in spiritual study, and positive congestion mind is the subject discussed in Tibetan Buddhism and Zen Buddhism, such as mentally stuck, attachment, clinging, grasp. There is a story of the Tibetan monk who studied and practiced the Dharma very hard but was unable to reach enlightenment. Finally, the monk traveled a long distance through many mountain ranges to meet a supreme master who possessed many spiritual powers. The supreme master advised the monk to put away all the knowledge, live a normal life like everyone else. The monk did so, and through learning how to cultivate floating mind, eventually reached enlightenment. As you see, a mind full of special knowledge causes a person out of reality because he or she doesn't know how to put away thoughts and bring them out when needed. It is best to put all of our thoughts and feelings into storage, only bring them out when needed, and put them back when they are not needed. It is also necessary to dump out the debris in our house by mental cleansing, meditation or strong will. These are the ways to reduce our obstacles. Disordered mind. This is a manic type of mind such as embodied in mental illnesses like anxiety disorder, bipolar, manic depression, obsessive-compulsive disorder, ADHD, etc. This mind subverts an individual to the point of needing medical attention and or some kind of therapeutic intervention. You may want to begin by asking yourself what kind of mental experience you have most of the time, and then you can begin to understand and take control of your mental experience. These 6 types of mental experience are the map to find true happiness. Through awareness and mindfulness, we can direct ourselves to our ideal state. It is also a scale to measure your success in terms of good mental experiences, rather than the success of fleeting money, beauty, status, and possessions. How many minutes a day do you experience peace or happiness will determine your degree of success. One also must make the peaceful and happy mind the first priority before anything else in life, even if one loses money or love. Happiness is from inside out. Happiness derived from only the outside is not the goal here. Ultimately, we need both happiness from inside and outside, but happiness from inside is the most important. Floating mind is the heavenly or nirvana mind belonging to the spiritual transcendent stage, which the servant Siddhalahuta lightness of consciousness and Siddhapacity, tranquility of consciousness dominates the mind. Happy mind is a psychological state of happiness which is chanda, desire, interest and adatya, excitement dominates the mind. Up and down mind is like the state wherein both positive and negative servants are jumping around. Stressful mind is a state where all the king, queen, admirals, servants are overworking. Congested mind is a state in which the hallway of the mental and spiritual palace is full of clutter and difficult to walk through. Disordered mind is a state in which the kingdom is out of control and which also means all the king and queen, advisor and servants are disability. Happy mind and floating mind are two high qualities of mental experience I would like to encourage you to begin to feel and attain. In the field of spiritual study and the practice of lucid dreaming, the reality is in our mind and does not necessarily depend on the outside world. Our mind can create any scenery and experience as it desires in the dream. Happy mind is very easy to accomplish, but floating mind is harder to accomplish. Floating mind is a more evolved state requiring much study and practice. Overall, 6 mental experiences are the key to find peace and happiness within ourselves.